Hi, my name is Karen Whittemore, and thank you for joining me today. I am a family nurse practitioner for those of you who are not familiar with me. I have been in practice for more than 25 years now, and I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth in medicine and also in the way things are done. I've also seen a lot of growth outside of medicine too. And that's the thing that's really exciting to me because that's where we're seeing a lot of really dramatic changes. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of the products, one of the tools that I like to use, the X39 from the LIFEWAVE company. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this is an amazing little tool. This has a little paper backing like some tape. And you just take off the paper backing, you slap it on your skin, you leave it on for 12 hours, and then you take it off. But what this amazing little thing does is it's frequency medicine. So frequency medicine, a good example of that is when we go out into the sunshine, the sunlight hits our skin and gives us a specific frequency that tells our body, hey, it is time to start producing vitamin D. The sun isn't giving us vitamin D. It's actually giving us a frequency that tells our body that it's time to start producing the vitamin D. And it's that same principle that these patches work with. X39 in particular actually sends in a frequency that tells our body to start producing more copper peptide. This is a very special peptide, and copper peptide helps with the lining of our lung tissue, the lining of our stomachs. It helps with our skin, it helps in all kinds of different ways. But the really, really cool thing about copper peptide is that it goes hand in hand with stem cells. And so when copper peptide is low, our stem cells are often low. And if we want to bring up our stem cells, we can actually indirectly bring up the copper peptide, and the stem cells will actually come up with it. So that is an amazing thing because as we age, we lose a lot of our stem cell activity. We have fewer stem cells, they're less active. And so this actual tool can help us to get those stem cells going so that we can continue healing and repairing ourselves. So I called this little presentation today, Take a Leap and Heal. And this kind of came to me the other morning when I was thinking, what should I talk about? And that popped into my mind. And then I thought, well, what does LEAP mean? And I realized, okay, this is an acronym for love endlessly and play. And when I was thinking about that, I knew, okay, some people are going to have a hard time with that because an article usually doesn't get its own letter in an acronym. So I changed it to love endlessly and affably play for those that need that, a different word in there for A, but it means the same thing. The more we have this loving energy and this playful energy, the more we're able to heal ourselves, and the more tools like these can be helpful for us. So we can be in a grumpy mood and still have great results. We can have a bad day and still have results with these patches. But it does so much more when we actually are in a state of being, of joy, of fun, of playfulness, one of these, what we would call a higher vibrational energy. And so to kind of talk a little bit more about this, let me use an example that a friend of mine just told me about. So years ago, it's about 20 years ago, she was in a horrible vehicle accident. So this was long before the patches. And she was told that if she didn't have a particular surgery, that she was going to lose the ability to walk. But in order to do the surgery, they insisted that she had to lose some weight because it was going to be very tricky going in through her back. So this was a very hard thing for her. She said she really loved, for the first time in her life, having these wonderful, what she called her tatas, these big voluptuous breasts. And she hated to have to get rid of that, but she really wanted to walk. And she had said that she had this big Buddha belly. And a lot of people, when they approach weight loss, think of it as, oh my gosh, there's this horrible thing that I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to I wish I could just, I'm so ugly like this, and I would be so perfect if I just got rid of this. Well, she had a very different approach. She said she just kind of held on to herself and said, "Oh, thank you, Tatas. I've had so much fun with you." And she held on to her belly. "Thank you, Buddha belly. Thank you for being the gift that you have been. I'm sorry I need to let you go, but it's time I need to let you go because I need to have the surgery and I need to be able to walk." She did do a few minor changes with her diet. She got rid of drinking soda, but that was about it. She didn't do any major changes with her diet. She lost 50 pounds in 1 month. And that's what I'm talking about with that love and play energy, rather than being in resistance to something. I think of resistance. We have box elder bugs. We have a box elder tree outside, and sometimes these bugs just love to be in our home. And it used to be that we would try to get rid of them, try to spray them and get them off. And the more we did that, the meaner they got. And we decided, they're really not causing that much harm. And they're my friends now. I consider them my little pets. When we were spraying them, they would bite and they would be very irritating. Now that we don't spray, they're not much of a nuisance. There's one or two here and there every once in a while. It's not a big deal. It's fine. But I've learned to love and appreciate them. In physics, when we work against something, so if we have a book and we put it on a table, there is a law in physics that says that when I push with that book, when that book is being pulled by gravity, there's a force that's pushing it against the table, but there is an opposite and equal force from the table pushing back up on the book. And I think it's that principle that's kind of hard for a lot of people to grasp. So the more you are trying to fight against something, so many people, they end up with a diagnosis of something, say like cancer, and they're fighting against the cancer. And the more you fight, the stronger it seems like it becomes. The more it seems to fight against you, rather than loving and appreciating and saying, "Okay, thank you, and it's time for you to go." So I've been trying to work on manifesting and helping make changes in my body. And I have a little example. So I've kind of shared with you in previous weeks how I was able to get rid of this wart that was here and this wart, which was really exciting. And then I got thinking about this spot on my back that has been there for years, but I just started thinking about it and thought, that looks like something I may want to address. So I decided first to meditate and think about, where did this come from? And this thought popped right into my head. Now, I don't know if this is exactly where this came from or not, but I believe that a lot of times we have emotional things that happen in our lives that create problems down the road. And I got that this had to do with years ago when I was at some hot springs. So my husband and I were at these hot springs, and it seemed like we were secluded. We were in an area that was kind of far away from the main springs. And my husband had his camera with him, and we a lot of times would just really have fun doing photo shoots together. Of course, you don't look as interesting having your glasses on for these kind of photo shoots. So I didn't have any glasses on, and I couldn't see that there were children some way in the distance that could see me, but I couldn't see them. And he wanted me to take my top off and do some tasteful nude photos. So we did these, and then when we got back to the main part, the manager told us to never come back again, that this was a family place and this was so inappropriate. And I naturally was just mortified. I had so much shame and guilt and anger towards my husband that he had such an idea. And I had all these feelings that I had bottled up inside of me. And I decided, okay, it is time for me to really work on that and try to release that energy, send it love, appreciate it, tell myself, hey, I'm sorry for that experience. I appreciate you for being there. Little spot on my back, but I feel like I'm learning things and I'm ready to let you go. So I took this image the day after I had done some of that work, and I was a little bit surprised to see it. If we can share that first photograph, and it was a little concerning to me. It has this abnormal appearance, and there's you know, that little darker spot on the side. And after working and releasing that, I took this other picture about 10 days later, and that more suspicious looking spot was gone, and I felt like it was looking a little bit improved. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to completely have resolution of this. I am hopeful, because it's just fun. It's just fun to try to manifest something like this, and I use my tools too. I think we can be inspired to use guidance. And I got that alternating a glutathione patch one day, an Aeon patch another day, an X39 some days, and putting it directly on that might be helpful. So I've been doing that, and time will tell. But the point is that there are a lot of health problems that many people suffer from today that are really related to past emotional issues and past emotional traumas. In fact, there are some wonderful trauma therapists out there now who, as they are healing these old wounds, patients are also finding that they no longer have the sleeping issues that they were having a hard time. They're no longer having the digestion issues. These things that they didn't realize were so associated to that trauma. These things are really a part of us. We have somewhere around 20,000 genes in our body. And these genes, it used to be originally thought, oh, each gene probably gives instruction to produce one protein. We've now found that that's not true. One gene will produce about 400 different proteins and signal our bodies to do these different functions. But it's very dependent on the environment. So for example, if you have a particular nutritional environment, maybe you are vegan, or maybe you live in an area where there's lots of papaya or nuts or something like that. Well, depending on the environment, that can shift and change what proteins are actually going to be made. But they have found that there is nothing stronger than our emotional and our thinking responses to things to determine which proteins get made. And I should mention too, with the X39 and increasing your stem cell production and activity, we have found that about a third of the genome can be affected by this. It just seems to have this uplifting effect on telling which proteins are supposed to be manufactured, which things need to be upregulated, which things need to be downregulated. So I love this tool, but I think it is a tool that needs to be used in conjunction with our own emotional states. So how do you know when you're getting into a good, positive emotional state? I have been using this tool. It comes from heartmath.com, the HeartMath Institute. I plug it into my phone, I hook it onto my earlobe, and it will actually help me to see when I'm in heart coherence. So for those of you that are interested more in when I'm talking about heart coherence, I do have other videos on YouTube, and you can check out on my channel. I have a whole list of other videos. You can check them out. And if you'd like to be updated on when a new video is coming out, you can just subscribe to my channel. We'll have a link at the bottom so that you can do that if you're interested. But I hook it onto my ear and hook it to my phone, and it will tell me when I'm in the red zone, when I'm in the blue zone, which is kind of an intermediary, or the green zone. So my goal is to try to get in the green zone, because that is when I am in heart coherence. And I have been really surprised, because what I thought was a high vibrational emotion, like being really energetic and excited, would actually immediately plummet me into the red zone. It was like I had all this hyper energy that would not allow things to flow. And I've really been learning that it's really an art of allowance. So I can put this on my ear and I can be listening to music and I can just try to breathe nice and slow and relaxed. And they say the best way to get into heart coherence, and that's a state where you have this set pattern of your heartbeat speeding up, then slowing down, speeding up and slowing down. And we all have this natural rhythm, but it gets chaotic because we're so busy throughout the day. It becomes this really chaotic pattern of speed up, slow down, speed up, but it's not a nice, slow, steady wave. And when we get into that slow, steady wave, actually it can have an effect on the whole Earth magnetic field because it is in the same frequency as that field. And that's when things can actually start happening for us, that free state. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie The Secret, and having positive thoughts and intentions and bringing things to you that you're desiring in your life. Well, if we are forceful about it, it seems like we block ourselves. And I would find that I would go so often into the red zone just because it was almost like this protective shield around my heart. But I would notice it in the way that I would breathe. I would define it as a strictured kind of a breathing. And I think a lot of us do that without even being aware that we're not breathing as openly and as relaxed and as naturally as we can. So that is one thing that I've really been practicing on, is that allowing. The heart math people say that the best way to do it is by imagining this energy coming out of your heart, and you're sending that energy out into the world. Well, as I imagine that, it's almost like I'm trying to force it. And the more I do that, the more I go into the red zone, which gets so frustrating. And then I'm more in the red zone. And I have to try to practice being open and relaxing and allowing. It's in that state, it's in that place where we can start manifesting and have miracles happening and have the changes and the healing take place in our bodies, and do it with an attitude of fun and playfulness. And hey, it's okay if this spot on my back never goes away. That's okay. I love you all the same. It's fine. You're fine. All the suspicious things are not looking as concerning to me, so I'm fine. And even if they were, there are things that we can do that are not necessarily just the conventional things. We don't always have to turn to convention. Convention is there for us when we need it. And many of us need it because we have not learned our own power within us, our own abilities to be able to heal, to be able to make the changes that we can. And then when you can also relax and get into that theta state where the brain waves slow down and are in a nice, calm, relaxed state along with the heart, that is when I like to try to put my intentional thoughts out there. Hey, I would just love to see this happen, and just imagine feeling what it would like to feel this particular scenario occur, and have those positive emotions and send it love and healing energy. And the second I start feeling a little bit of butterflies in my stomach, like, okay, what am I doing? How can I be asking for such a thing like this? What right do I have? I immediately stop thinking that thought and try to change it. These are natural things. It takes practice. And that's why meditation can be so valuable. And I like to try to meditate with this tool because it's helping me to learn how to breathe and relax and be open in a different way than I have in the past. So many of us, by the time we are adults, we have learned so many defense mechanisms that protect us, but they also block us. And when we're being blocked, when it affects the energetic flow all around us. And that can have negative impacts on our health. The more open and loving and flowing we are, the more likely we are to just leap into health and healing. And we can use tools like LifeWave to help us to do these things. It's possible to do them without the tools, but I have a lot of fun using these because I feel protected, because I know I'm not there yet. I'm not 100% in the green zone. I so easily get out of the green zone, and it's something that I know I should be effortless and I should just be able to flow with it. But I have so many defense mechanisms that I am trying to work on. And so I feel like having a little protection and a little help is of benefit to me as I go on my journey, my path of healing. And I hope you all are able to be successful on your healing and journey paths. And think about the thought of allowing, and sending things love. If you really want help and healing changes, maybe take some time and consider, where did this problem first begin? Where did this issue in my health first happen? And you might be surprised that there was a trauma or something that initially provoked everything that you're dealing with. And the more you can send it love, forgiveness, say I'm sorry, send it appreciation like it's a small child that we're sending love, perhaps the more healing we can have. Anyway, wanted to share that with you. Thank you all. If somebody invited you today and you would like to know some more information about LifeWave and their products, please get back with that person. And thank you. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.